That's a no-go. So sorry about that. So yes, it's very important. And that a wonderful thing about students is they take such lovely initiative. That is so important. And the fact that your college has acknowledged that and has allowed them to raise their concerns, and you're giving them that opportunity that, yes, let us discuss about it. I mean, it's kudos to both ends, the student body as well as the staff and the faculty, that you are acknowledging the children's needs, the students' needs, and deciding to work about it. So that's just wonderful. Congratulations to both the parties.
This bunch of students really do feel very passionately about this, and the fact that they have kept up, we've not been able to match their pace because processes within institutions take time, and of course there are so many other things that happen, but they have patiently waited for us. They have listened to what we've had to tell them. So that makes us hopeful that on their own they'll be able to do quite a bit of it,
Yes.
even without
And
our support perhaps.
absolutely. And with your support, just imagine, how far we'll all reach.
I've just sent a message to Himani ma'am. Should we start then?
I believe so, ma'am. Like we have 52 participants now. So should we begin?
Let's begin.
I think we can wait till 1:15. Maybe they're just having their lunch and we can wait till 1:15.
Yeah, maybe all right. Yeah. Maybe a few more minutes. Okay. Sure.
So who is hosting this? And anybody who.
This is the IC, the internal. You were asking about the forum, or you were asking about the.
No, the Zoom meeting. Who's hosting this meeting?
Yeah, the webinar is being organized by the IC, that is the internal committee of the college.
That's fine.
And the idea has come from this group of students, of course. So, and they also have been in touch with the counseling center. Pratima ma'am and her whole team have met them, and yeah, so let's see how that goes.
Absolutely. So and before the students come in, will it be possible for us to do the poll that I had sent across?
Yes.
So one question at a time. Can we work with the poll?
Yes, ma'am.
It gives us students some time to engage in before we can jump in the activity. Because I understand at 1:30, the 2 o'clock, you guys have another, something that you need to do.
So, Himani ma'am,
yes, ma'am.
Can we run a poll here, or will we have to run it separately on another platform?
Ma'am, I have the poll. I'll put it in the. I have the links. I'll share it in the chat box.
Chat box.
Yes, absolutely, great.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So, ma'am, one at a time right now.
Zoom, I'm so sorry, guys, but on Zoom there is a facility to post individual questions as poll. Do you know how to do that?
Ma'am, it's only for paid version.
Oh, no wonder I was not able to find it.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's do it then. Let's do it.
Okay,
and how will we see the responses?
Ma'am, we can share the screen.
Poll. Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's do that.
Yes, ma'am. Just a minute.
And do you also have the PPT that I had sent? Since I'm using my phone, I won't be able to share the screen.
Yes, ma'am, I have your PPT.
Great. Great. Thank you so much. Such an efficient group. That's wonderful.
So ma'am, I've posted the first link with the first poll.
Okay, I'll just check it.
Requesting all the participants to please open that link. I think that's how it works. Palak, they will need to open the link and answer the question, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So we are a big, nice group. We are about 57 right now, 58. So if all the students here can open that link, everyone actually, and answer that question, it will be nice.
And the poll is absolutely confidential, guys. So you don't have to worry who's seeing what answer. It's a poll, right? So nobody knows who has answered yes or who has answered no. We just get to see the number so that we'll have a clarity of what is happening, how do we think, how are we perceiving life and our body, so that this conversation can happen two ways. So it's just not me sharing information, but you're also able to associate and relate to it. Can we pose the second question now?
Yes, ma'am.
Just post all the question one after the other, since we are waiting for the next few minutes.
Okay, ma'am.
पलक थोड़ा आराम आराम से डालो, बच्चे कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे. ठीक है?
ओके मैम, ओके मैम.
कंफ्यूज हो गए इसके लिए.
ओके मैम.
हाँ.
Palak, is it done? Do we have any more?
Yes, ma'am. 2 more are left. So I was doing it slowly because everybody was getting confused. I'll post it right now.
One at least. Yeah.
So, ma'am, I've posted all the links.
How many total?
10, ma'am.
Lovely. So, guys, just check if you have answered 10 questions. If not, just quickly go through the questions. And if you've missed anything, kindly share your answers. And once you have received all the answers, Palak, maybe you can just share the screen over here and we can begin our
Oh,
session.
yeah, ma'am. Pragati, share the screen for question 1.
Okay. So the first question is, do I spend a lot of time worrying about?
Click on response only, Pragati. Yeah.
Do I spend a lot of time worrying about what other people think about my appearance? So how many people have answered? 55 people have answered. So 55, how many percentage? 43 says yes. And yeah, thank you so much. And 56% says no, which is great, but that's not amazing because there's quite a chunk of people who still feel that their appearance is something that they have to consciously and actively think about because they are concerned what other people are thinking about them. Next question, please. Do I spend more time thinking about what I dislike about my body than what I like about it? So yes is only 36% and 63% says no, which is great. But 36% of the population here right now actively has at some point is scrutinizing their bodies in a very negative and unhealthy way rather than appreciating and loving what already is. Okay, next question, please. Is my appearance really important in how I evaluate my self-worth? So this is the perfect split of 50-50. 50% says yes. See, guys, only 44 people have responded. So 57 participants may say, 13 people have not responded, which is a little bit strange. So please, if you have not responded, kindly start responding. So 50% says yes, 51% says no, and 48% is saying, 48% is saying yes. So they really, this percentage of the population really believes that my self-worth is directly proportional and proportionate to my appearance. All right, the next one, please. Do I avoid activities, people, or situations due to feeling self-conscious about my appearance? So self-conscious could be, oh, I ate something and I'm feeling bloated, or today my hair is looking funny, or I have a huge pimple on my face, or my face is looking very puffy, and I don't really like the way I look in the mirror. Maybe nothing is wrong, but whatever clothes I'm wearing, I don't feel good about myself. So self-conscious about my appearance. So yes is been said by 58% of the population almost, and 41% is saying no, not really. I still go out and meet people even if I'm feeling self-conscious. But 58% of the population right now feel that way about themselves. Again, 41 responses only. So guys, please respond. Otherwise, we will have a very skewed data, and that's not really effective in today's episode of today's session. Please, next question. Do I spend a lot of money, time, efforts attempting to fix my personal appearance flaws or trying to look perfect? So no has been said by 64% of the population, 35% is saying yes. And I'll tell you why a lot of people are saying no is because you guys are students. You don't have access to money, your own money. So right now, because you don't have access to X amount of money, and whatever money you have access to, you are putting it on your education or being with your friends. But then this question will make sense to you when you actually start earning your own money, or you have a lot of disposable income as a part of your pocket money, perhaps, to fix your appearance. Fixing your appearance could be shopping for new things, or buying gadgets to do your beard or your hair, or buying gel for your hair or something like that. It's not just makeup. It can be literally anything. Next question, please. Does my satisfaction with my appearance dictate my mood or how happy I feel? So 51% is saying no, and 49% is saying yes. Like if I look very good a particular day, it really affects my mood that day. And 48% say yes, and 51% say no. If I'm feeling crappy, doesn't matter how awesome I look. Or if I'm feeling amazing, it doesn't matter how crappy I look. So that is happening. Okay, next question. It's okay, Pragati. We can wait. Thank you. Do I often compare my appearance to others or check my appearance in mirrors? So 61% is saying no, but there are 39% of the population here which says that yes, I end up comparing myself with the way I look with how my partner looks, or my classmate looks, or my cousin looks, or my sibling looks. So yes, and anytime you come across a reflective surface, you have to compulsively look at yourself. Okay, next question, please. Do I find myself seeking reassurances from others about my appearance or dismiss compliments I receive about my appearance? So 58% is saying yes, and 41% is saying no. So 41% of the population doesn't need any reassurance, but 58% feel validated when somebody else gives them a reassurance. Oh, you're looking good, you're looking fine, it's absolutely fine. Or they end up dismissing any kind of compliments. Oh, you're looking so nice. No, I'm not looking nice. Or, so this is happening to 58% of the population. Okay, next question. Do I believe that my appearance is largely responsible for for much of what happened to me in my life, or believe that I can control my future by improving my appearance? So no has been said by 54%, that my life is not because of how I look, and I can improve my life by how I look. But then there are 45% of the population here that feels that way. And unfortunately, ads will tell you, like I have seen so many, and we have seen so many ads where the Fair and Lovely ads, that, oh, you're looking this, you look a certain way, and then you apply Fair and Lovely, and you suddenly magically get confidence and magically get a degree, and then you magically get the job in the office of your dreams. So this is a very, this is a kind of cognitive distortion a lot of people hold on to, not because they think like that, but because they are taught to think like that, especially with today's media. Yes, the next question, please. I think this will be the last question. Pragati, you didn't answer any of the questions. Very bad. All right. The question is, do my feelings about my appearance get in the way of accepting myself or enjoying my life? So no is being said by 59%, and 41% says yes. people perhaps with body image issues or severe acne or hair issues, or some people just have low self-esteem when it comes to their body. So yes, 41% of the population is saying out of 39 responses, very abysmal rate of people who have responded. I'm not really happy with that, but okay. Feel that that my life is being hampered with the way my look or my appearance. So clearly we know why the session was required and why people were looking to do the session, and that's brilliant. Let's talk about it. Pragati, would you please share the PPT for today's session?
Preeta ma'am, before you start, the students have a little thing to say and do. So could we do that before starting the session? Yeah.
Sure.
Pala? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So good afternoon and a very warm welcome to everyone present here today. I am Palak Srivastav, Bachelor's of Arts in Multimedia and Communications from SM Shetty Degree College, Powai. We can't deny the fact that all of us at some point felt insecure about our body. Some of us might also have been bullied for the way we look. Some of our prominent features are regarded as imperfections, but now it's time to rise above it and we all appreciating our body. Stand up against those who make you feel miserable about yourself. And we have come up with a new initiative for all of us. So now, without any delay, I would request the presiding officer of IC, Assistant Professor Neena Sharma, to address you all.
Thank you, Palak. On behalf of every principal sir, our vice principals who are not here today right now, I hope they'll join us. Welcome everyone, my colleagues, our resource person Prita Sahab, Pratima Bhandarkar, our counseling head of SM Shetty Institutions, all the students. Just to let you know briefly about what this campaign is, the IC is essentially for grievance redressal and sometimes specifically only for redressal of issues related to sexual harassment. But it is also the IC's responsibility to ensure that there is gender sensitization, there is awareness of all issues related to gender. So we were very pleasantly surprised when we found a group of students, specifically a group of students that came from the second year of BA MMC, who came to us and said that this is a widely prevalent issue on both on the campus and on social media. So is it something that they could do about, and could we guide and help them? Which seem to fit in perfectly with the IC's role in terms of sensitization. So it is the Champagne, a very difficult name to pronounce, is the students' idea. We have provided them with this first platform, which is a webinar. And today, if I'm not mistaken, our NSS teacher in charge, our cultural activities teachers in charge, our coordinators are here. It is the IC's hope that from here on, these students will be supported by you in your various activities, so that it becomes a campaign that SM Shetty says no to body shaming. That is our hope out of this webinar. Welcome everyone. We hope that we will all have a fruitful session and many things to learn. Thank you, Palak.
Thank you, ma'am. So now we have a small presentation that throws light on when, what, and how this campaign started. So I would like to call Ritika Shetty to present the presentation.
Thank you, Palak. So I'll be going to
Ritika, you're not audible. Could you be a little louder?
audible now.
Still no.
Now, hello. Just a second, Palak. Can you hear me now? Okay, so let's begin. Can y'all see the screen?
Yeah.
shouldn't take so
Ritika, you want me to share the PPT? Because
yeah,
it's
sure,
not
ma'am, no problem.
it's not loading. Wait a minute, I'm sharing.
It takes so long. Yeah, it's there. It's come. It's there. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So Champagne is a campaign against body shaming. Meet our members. Let me introduce our members. We have Shara Sheikh, Deepak Gupta, Meghna Mehra, Ritika Shetty, Palak Srivastav, and Pragati Tiwari. Why did we start this campaign? A lot of people among us are victims of body shaming, bullying, and ragging. Being fat, tall, short, thin, fair, dark, each of these terms come with our own baggage of patriarchal norms and hence are normalized. We normalize it thinking as a joke or a part of friendship. Our campaign urges us to take charge to do our bit in spreading body and mental positivity. What type of bullying or body shaming takes place in one's daily life? Comparing people's body shapes to animals or objects, passing comments or jokes about problems faced by certain body types, calling people attention seekers when they stand up to bullying, laughing when someone makes a joke about one's appearance. So here's a small stick figure representation of how one might get body shamed on a regular basis as a joke. Did you know people who are insecure about their body image are often the ones who body shame others to feel better about themselves? How to stop body shaming yourself and love your body in 6 steps. Self affirmation works better than self berating. Know that body positivity is a time consuming process. Exercise to be healthy and not to lose weight. Reminder, there's more to life than your looks. Make new friends and divert your attention away from your looks. Just go out, take a break, and have fun, people. Go ahead, tell your loved ones that they are beautiful in whatever way they are. So here's another comic representation. This person says, everyone calls me short. Yes, I am short. But feels bad when someone teases me. Yes, I do get irritated. Everyone is different and unique. If I accept myself the way I am, then everyone, even you can. So, how we as friends can stop this? Positive peer pressure. Just a second, please. Positive peer pressure and positive peer pressure is when someone's peer influences them to do something positive or growth building. So if anyone comes around people who are bullied or body shamed anytime, they should talk and motivate themselves to seek help from the counselors or help them stand against the bullies even though they are their friends. If these friends are toxic, call out your insecurities in public. They must be stopped instead of thinking that they are your friends and they can say anything about you just for fun. So that's all, and you can contact us on our email. You can mail the internal committee at icc@smshettycollege.edu.in. And for further help, you can also approach the counseling center and ARC, which has, please note down these email IDs if you want, at hdc@smshettyinstitute.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ritika. So, moving further, now I would like to call upon Ms. Shara Sheikh to introduce the guest and speaker of today's session. Over to you, Shara.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's session. I'd like to introduce a resource person, Ms. Preetha Saha. Ms. Preetha Saha is a trained therapist with over 8 years of experience. She is a life success and relationship coach. She assists people to manage their stress, anxiety, anger issues, depression, and heal relationships and past traumas. She is a motivational speaker and a counselor. She offers services in stress management, anger management, phobia management, personal coaching, counseling reconciliation, relationship coaching, and parenting workshops. She is a great listener and an excellent speaker. Today, she will be talking to us on the topic My Body is Beautiful. So, let's welcome Ms. Preeta Saha.
Thank you so much, Shara. That was such a beautiful introduction. And Ritika, I must appreciate that the PPT was so well done and you did such a fabulous job. Honestly, you didn't even need me. You guys did such a fabulous job doing the making the PPT and explaining it with your cute little cartoons and memes, and very well done. So congratulations to the whole team, to the faculty, everybody who came together and started working on this. I'm genuinely very happy and extremely grateful that I got the opportunity to speak to everyone over here. So without further ado, can we start with today's presentation?
Yes,
Wonderful. So wonderful. So can we please have the PPT? So guys, as Ritika very beautifully explained, what is body shaming, So there's this humor is a part of each and every one of us. We all love humor. Full screen, please. We all love humor. We all like laughing. We all like enjoying and having a good time. But that does not mean that our humor has to be at the cost of somebody else's pain or trauma, right? So before we enter the world of body positivity, body neutrality, body shaming, and all of that, I wanted to understand what is trauma. Trauma is an extremely painful situation. Can we please have this? And yeah, thank you so much. So trauma is a very, very painful situation that can happen to anybody. Okay. Now, most of the times when we think of trauma, what do we think? Rape, murder, war, tsunami, earthquake, death of a huge accident. So yes, that is definitely trauma. But trauma is not a checklist to be filled. Trauma is actually a spectrum. On one end of the trauma spectrum are traumas that are extremely, extremely deep and, the things that we consider as acute trauma. One incident, but it's so impactful that it scars us for life. Being raped, being in a war zone area, witnessing domestic violence, witnessing murder, rape, all of those things, or being in a part of being in an accident or witnessing natural disaster, natural calamities like landslide, floods, tsunami, or earthquake or any of those things. So one event. So that kind of is one end of the spectrum, which is called the acute trauma. Then there are things that are called chronic trauma that happens for me for a very long time. So imagine there's a person who's born in a family that has extreme domestic violence. The husband is beating the mother, and there's a lot of violence that's happening in the family. And from the time this person is born till a very long amount of time, till they're 16, 17, 20, or they constantly see that their mother is being brutalized, or there's the in-laws are constantly abusing their mother or something like that. So this is chronic trauma. Chronic trauma में bullying भी आता है, because if you're in a school and you're always bullied by the color of your skin, how your hair looks, if you have a squint, if you have stammering problem, you look a certain way, you're fat, you're too skinny, any of those things. So if it's happening non-stop for a very long amount of time, it's the same event, but it's happening every day. Every time you enter a classroom, hey, XYZ आया, देख, something like that happens for a very long time. It's called chronic trauma. And then there is something called complex trauma, which is different event that happens in different timelines, and that can also have a very huge impact, but they are not as intense as acute trauma. So you guys need to understand that not everybody's capacity for trauma is very different. See, every cup is different, right? We are all individuals. So our capacity for accepting bullying or shaming is also different. Some people, have a lot of support system. So if one person is bullying them, they have an entire support system that they can just go to and chill. They go back home and the family loves them and the family is safe. They feel safe at home. They have a great support system at home. The building friends are fun. So school mein jo ho raha, they can forget. But then there are people who lack any kind of support system. Maybe the parents are emotionally unavailable or violent or abusive. They don't have friends in the building, and the tuition that they go to, the classes they go to also is not really supportive. And obviously, if the school or the college is as unsupportive, they literally don't have any place to feel safe. So their capacity for accepting any kind of crap that's being thrown at them is going to be extremely different from somebody who has a lot of good things to look forward to. Maybe they have a pet, maybe they have a best friend living, a couple of doors down the line. So everybody's capacity for taking pain is also very different. So we need to understand that also, because a lot of people have told me, oh, I was just saying this, it's just a funny joke. Yes, it's funny to you. But imagine the person walking into any room and the only thing that they hear about themselves is that. Can you imagine how much that can affect them? Maybe you are saying it once, but one person in a classroom of 100 once says the same thing to that one person. So 100 times they've heard from different people that one thing. And if it's not a motivating, inspirational, kind thing, can you imagine what can that do to the psyche of a person? So next slide, please. So that was the introduction of, how words is so important. All right. So before we understand what is body shaming, we first have to understand what is body image. We all see ourselves in a different way, right? When we see ourselves in a different way, that is in any way, that is our body image, how I feel about my body, how I see my body. So body image is basically a person's mental picture of one's physical body. That includes your size, shape, and appearance, your skin color, your texture on your skin, your, hair texture, color, length, everything. So it may be, the fact may be a certain way, but how I feel about it is your body image. It's one's attitude towards the physical self, such as how I think about my body, how I feel about my body, what are my beliefs about my body. Okay. Body image is influenced by so many things. Culture, right? There's this village in Africa where the women are expected to consume 1,000 calories a day. 5,000 calories a day, because that community believes that women who are on the plus side, double XL, triple XL, is only worthy of being married. It's a village community. So, and versus in America or Paris, where a model who's worthy of being given top bucks to do a campaign or walk the runway, they have to look a certain way. So it's very culturally driven. The media also influences a lot. Like when I opened the TV, what kind of, Fair and Lovely suddenly became Glow and Lovely, and they supposedly had dark skin model. Dark skin model is probably 3 shades lighter than I am. This is their idea of a dark skin model. If Naomi Campbell was to come to the screen, I mean, what, I don't think their brain will also function, what to do with, gorgeous black supermodel. So the media influences how we look at ourselves. What is considered to be plus size probably is just a double XL. The people that you see on the screen, the funny fat friend, they probably are not even close to the reality of people on the plus side. So the media is constantly telling us how we should be, and then we aspire because, they put so many filters, they put so much Photoshop, they put so much effort on the lighting and storyline that we want to be that. So media definitely has a great influence on, how we see ourselves, how we perceive ourselves. Also, the third and very important thing is what kind of interaction is there in my family. So when I was born, so my grandmother, she had she passed away last year. And not last year, 2019. For some reason, my brain does not compute that 2020 was an entire year, not a couple of weeks, So 2019, December, she passed away. And I have always lived in Bombay all my life, and my entire family is based in Calcutta. My mom's side, my dad's side. So every vacation when I used to go there, the only comment I heard from my grandmom, and my grandmom, let me give you, a background, is she was white as a foreigner, and very light eyes and beautiful curls. Like I have her curls, but she was really, really, really fair, and probably some foreign blood, God knows. And every time I used to come there, and my grandfather, on the other hand, was very beautiful, dark, beautiful ebony skin, very, very dark. So every time I used to come, the only thing is, अभी तक गोरी नहीं हुई, and summer में आई है तो you will be out and playing with your cousins and also वो तो every year. That's the only thing I heard. And one time I remember when I was in 11th or 12th standard, when I finally went, and she was like, oh, now you're fine because you're taller, you look slightly fairer, but you can never be as close to me, so families interaction you like, what you dislike, what are your dreams and ambitions, and people won't be like, oh, why don't you tell me what is happening in your life? They instead are going to tell you, oh, this is wrong with you, this is wrong with you, this is wrong with you, and this is what you need to do. So all of this put together can carry over everywhere, is kind of giving you pressure, and that can definitely affect your body image. And thing about body image is because it's in my mind, right? It's how I see. So if people are talking crap about me, I feel crap about me. But the thing is, it's not set in stone. I can work on it. And with new information, interaction with different people, new experiences, my mindset can shift. My thoughts, my thinking, my beliefs, they can shift. And I can have a different body image from what I had in school or what I have in college or what I can have 20 years down the line. So that's something that's really, really important to understand, that what you have right now, it's not permanent. It's in your hand how you see your body. A negative or unhealthy body image can definitely affect your self-esteem. You can experience low self-esteem, cause anxiety, depression, and it can also affect your daily well-being. Like one of the questions was, does it affect you hanging out with your friends, if you don't feel good about your body? And 43%, if I'm not wrong, said that yes, we don't meet our friends. And we see constant 59% said we constantly seek reassurances from our friends about how we feel, about how we look. I need that external validation. And it can also go to an extreme that people can indulge in self-harm, non-suicidal self-harm, where they're cutting or they're hurting themselves or they're hitting themselves because they just don't like who they are. Because it's not that they don't feel worthy, it's they're made to feel that they're not worthy because they look a certain way. Can we go to the next slide, please? So what are the signs of negative or poor body image? Okay, people who harbor a negative view of their bodies, they have a constant negative and bleak, obsessive thoughts about the way they look. And these are some of the signs that you can identify in your friend or in yourself, or sometimes you may even notice them in your own parents. Okay, so just listen to this. Excessive attention and focus on a minor flaw. Oh, my nose is too big. Oh, this pimple. Oh, my eye is upar niche. Oh, my eyebrows are not symmetrical. My fingers are not symmetrical. My hand is not symmetrical. Or my feet look a certain way. I have a mole here. Oh, my skin is not like a magazine models. There are patches and my underarm looks a certain way. And I have cellulite, like constant obsessive, like they can't, if they're talking, that conversation will somehow come in. Viewing oneself as unattractive or even ugly. Oh, I'm so ugly. They probably say it as a joke. Arey, main to aisi dikhti hu, mera kya hai? Like, my mom will sometimes say, when I really like dressing up because it makes me feel so joyful. It just makes my heart so happy that I'm doing something just for myself. And I like looking at that. And if you're going somewhere, I'll catch hold of my mom and like, Mama, come now, let's do some makeup. But one thing that would initially come from my mouth, now it's reduced a lot because therapist घर पे है ना, उससे effect होगा. So the first thing like, अरे बेटा, मैं तो बुड्ढी हो गई हूँ, मुझे आप क्या कर रहे हो? What is the point? I will always look like this. that constant viewing of oneself as really unattractive or ugly, um, then whatever flaws are there in the body, they see it as a deformity. Like I know of this person. See, look at your legs. People's legs can be like this. Some people's legs are like this, a little bit bold leg bolte hai usko. So that's how you're born. It's a part of your genetic. If your mom or dad have it, there's a very high possibility you have it. So I know of this person. They would not wear shorts. You know, even if it was a part of a uniform, they would not wear half pant or shorts because they felt, you know, a guy who felt that my legs are so ugly. So in school kid, okay, let me clarify, a school kid would not wear shorts to school because he really disliked how his body looked. Why? Because one cousin once said, "Are tera pair kaisa hai dekh?" Some older cousin, as a joke, because bullying can happen anytime. He refused to wear shorts. And constantly wanting to be a perfectionist in other things because they are so unhappy with one aspect of themselves that they have to be perfect in other places. Though they might get obsessive about their homework, their work, their housework, how their house looks, or you know, they'll be obsessively perfectionist about anything. They might avoid social engagements. Like the kid wouldn't want to go to school on the days that half pant was required. You know, sports day is great because you wear your full sport pants, but half day wale pants pehna hi nahi hai. You know, either completely avoids the mirror or constantly fixing the mirror. Okay. Constantly hides the perceived flaw. So if they feel their arms are very flabby, like I feel my arms are very flabby, but I don't hide it. But the people who obsessively are concerned about this is so ugly and what will people think, and why am I like this? They will wear full sleeve you know, clothes to hide that. Then constantly comparing, oh wow, look at her in the gym, you know, her arms are so perfect, look at mine. So constantly unable to focus on oneself or focus on things that add value to their life, but only comparing. Obviously, this is not something that happens to a lot of people, but you see in the media, there are people you watch on the news that they will constantly keep doing cosmetic surgeries. One example that I can give you is, you remember, I don't know if you remember, you guys are very young, but when I was in college, there was this Bollywood, you know, dancer called Koena Mitra, if I'm getting the name right. And she constantly kept getting surgeries to a point that she couldn't be an actor anymore because the surgery was extremely botched up. So this happens, you know, like you see Kylie Jenner, you see Kim Kardashian, you see Khloe Kardashian constantly going through surgeries one after the other, not being able to stop because the sense of self is so low that they just can't accept who they are, how they are, and just be okay with it. Like, this is who I am, and I still love myself. Like, what's the point? This is me. So you do see that. Constantly needs reassurance from other people. मैं से मोटी लग रही हूँ क्या रे मेरा बाल ठीक है ना, and you know, pimple आया मेरे को आना नहीं है types, you know, constantly. And friends are like, कुछ नहीं, कोई नहीं देखेगा, you come. And finally, whatever they do, doesn't matter if they're wearing an H&M dress, Zara dress, they're wearing you know, the best hairstyle, you know, they got the you know, haircut and trim from the best salon. The person will just not be satisfied with how they look. Even if they get a barrage of compliments, the guys or the girl will not be like, you know, they'll be like, "Ha, thank you," or they'll just swat away the compliment because inside they feel like crap because they have extremely low or negative self-body image. Okay, next slide, please. Can you guys see me while I'm speaking? Because I can only see you. So you might have to make me host, Pragati, or whoever is that, because I can't see myself. Okay, so next is body shaming. So Ritika very beautifully explained what is shaming and what are the different things that we hear when people are body shaming, and that's really messed up, isn't it? And body shaming is known as basically an action or a practice of expressing humiliation. See, I'm not saying that for a laugh of spreading joy. Jokes are for spreading joy. But body shaming is about making the person feel humiliation or shame about how their body looks. It could be the shape, it could be the color, it could be the size, anything. It's a form of bullying, okay? let's get the facts right. Body shaming is bullying, is abusive, it's bullying. So if you are making a joke because somebody has a fat ass, or the tits are, they don't have boobs, or they have huge, boobs, and they are, you're talking about it. If you're talking about somebody else's body, if it's not bringing joy or it's not bringing confidence that, yes, queen, you're looking so good, if you're not doing that, you are bullying them. So get the facts right. You can say, coat it with as much sugar, honey, and whatever you want, but body shaming is bullying and it is abusive. And if you have partaken also indirectly in somebody else's body shaming, shame on you. Bullying, as any type of bullying, will definitely lead to trauma. It can be a part of your chronic bullying, because you don't know what that person is hearing throughout the day, right? Maybe they're hearing that one thing from everybody. You may say, मैंने तो एक ही बार बोला, okay, but then entire classroom thinks, मैंने तो एक ही बार बोला, but fun that person's entire day. So it is bullying, it's abusive, and it can lead to an extreme emotional trauma, especially when it happens to young people. So please try and understand the intensity of this issue. Body shaming can be done by anybody. It's not just your classmates. It can be done by your parents, your grandparents, my grandmother in my shape. But I never saw it as shaming because I didn't give two Fs about what my grandmother is saying, because I saw her like 10 days in an entire year, and I was there for my cousins. So it didn't matter. But imagine living with somebody like that. It can be done by siblings. It can be done by friends, classmates, teachers. Teachers can make comments about, body shaming. They probably are just saying something in the passing, but they can also be bullying without realizing they're bullying. And the emotional trauma could be depression, could be anxiety, could be lack of self-confidence and self-esteem. And it can also lead to self-harm behaviors. So watch your words. Words have intense and insane amount of power, guys. Some of the common phrases, like Ritika very beautifully said, what is she wearing, or what is he wearing? ऐसा क्या उसका बाल देखना, अरे look at, oh उसका pimple देखा क्या? अरे इसको कौन boyfriend बनाएगा, इसकी कौन girlfriend बनी? Have you seen? So these are just a fraction of whatever horrible things people say, and how Ritika very beautifully said that people who feel insecure about themselves, not maybe just about their body, but something they feel crappy about, and they don't want to feel crappy, and they want to feel a twisted sense of joy. It's not pure joy, it's a twisted sense of joy. They want to laugh. They laugh at other people, not with other people. See, joy is when we laugh with everybody. Everybody finds it funny, joyful, and your heart is full at the end of it, that you remember and you have tears in your eyes, nostalgia, like, oh wow, that day was so fun. But this kind of humor is toxic, is extremely damaging. It doesn't spread joy. It's cutting. Yeah? And you won't look at, back in the past and like, oh, that day was cool. You will think of that thing as, oh wow, हमने उसकी कितने अच्छे से उसका खिल्ली उड़ाया, उसका कितना मजाक उड़ाया हमने. That was awesome. But it won't be about joy. Negative commenting about size or shape of anybody's body is extremely damaging, potentially leads to low self-esteem, self-harm, and even mental health issues. Eating disorders can happen. People can stop eating, anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, vomiting whatever they're eating, because they hate their body so much. Next slide, please. So body shaming manifests in many different ways. What are the different ways? It can affect your mental health. It can affect your self-esteem. So first you start criticizing your own appearance because somebody passed a comment. Then you start criticizing somebody else's appearance. Maybe you or somebody else. It keeps going out in circle, right? And then sometimes we criticize in front of them. I will answer the questions later. Can we do the questions later? Because I'm in the flow right now. Thank you. Criticizing
yes, ma'am.
somebody. Yeah.
Take the questions at last.
Yeah. Criticizing somebody else's appearance. I just said it because I'm on my phone, right? So the question just pops in and that can just hamper the flow. So sometimes we criticize somebody else's appearance, directly on the face. Oh, what happened to you? You gained weight, and dress तुझ पे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. What have you done to your hair? And or we talk about somebody else's body behind their backs without their knowledge. So body shaming can happen any of these ways. Next slide, please. Yeah. So see that this is a conversation between two people who internally look the same, but externally, because of whatever circumstances, because sometimes it's not that you're not taking care of your body. Maybe genetically there is an issue. You know, some people have something called water retention. So even if they eat a fruit, their body will bloat up because it's an autoimmune disorder. So anybody can be body shaming. Just because you are on the healthier side doesn't mean that you can't body shame. Only fit looking, model looking, Tiger Shroff type of people only body shame. So yes, next slide, please. So yes, next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So eating disorders. So I would really like to talk to you about eating disorders. One of the most direct outcome of body shaming is eating disorders because, you know, obviously in science we are taught what we eat affects in our body, right? But that's just like half the truth. There's a lot else that goes in. So eating disorders is basically, it's a psychological condition. Okay, it's a mental health related concern that happens due to unhealthy eating habits. Because there is obsession with food, obsession with body weight, or obsession with body shape. In severe cases, disorders can have severe consequences or even result in death. And, you know, they have many symptoms, you know, so a lot of times, like I have a lot of clients have told me that, you know, ma'am, you know, I am too obese, you know, how can I have anorexia? You know, but it's just not that because you're skinny or you look a certain type, only you have anorexia, or if you're on the higher end, you will have bulimia. Aisa nahi hai. Anybody, it is not the body shape or the size that dictates your eating disorder. It's how you feel about your body, it's how you think about your body, and also understand it's a mental health disorder. So you need medical help and guidance for that. These are not something that, okay, and something that really, really bugs me is sometimes, you know, people say very, like a person might be extremely organized, which is amazing, but they'll say rubbish things like, oh, I'm so OCD. No, OCD is a disorder. You have to be tested for OCD. You have to have a clinical diagnosis for OCD, and OCD people need to take medication for the rest of their life. It's an anxiety disorder. You being careful and you loving your space, and you being a you know, you like things in a certain way doesn't mean that you have OCD. So similarly, somebody who doesn't feel hungry or looks a certain way, people might say, "Teko anorexia hai kya? Tu kam kha raha hai? You know, or you eat too much. Teko ye disorder hai kya?" Don't use these words. If you're not a psychological professional and you don't have the diagnosis, don't use these words. It's abusive. So there are different types of eating disorders that happen. Eating disorders, again, to clarify, it's a mental health condition. It has to do with obsession with food and body shape, but it's a mental health condition, and it happen to anyone. And it's not just associated with women. It can happen to men also. It can happen at any stage in your life, as a child, in, you know, in your adolescent, in your college days, in your adult life. It can happen anytime. But most of this, okay, 13% of eating disorders are by the age of 20. So you have to really, really be aware. So like you see, these are some of the eating disorders: anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, binge eating disorder, rumination disorder, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, orthorexia, and the rest. Pica is a very, very interesting. Like if you're psychology students, you've come across Pica. Pica is really interesting. Pica is like eating things that are not food. So that's Pica. You know, you might have seen Ripley's Believe It or Not, and or some show like that where people are eating ceramic plates or they're eating tissue paper. So like it's a mental health disorder, and these things are eating your nose diggings is also part of Pica. Eating skin, eating your nails, whatever. Things that are not food, but you can't stop eating it is Pica. It's something that I've always found very interesting as a professional, not as a person who wants to do gossip and rumors. Next slide, please. So here it's mentioned, and I have a very big issue with this slide. It says here that anorexia nervosa people are skinny and bulimia nervosa people are slightly on the higher end of the weight. Absolute rubbish. Whoever made this is wrong. And that is why I wanted to put this on, because you can be a triple XL size and still have anorexia nervosa, or you could be an extremely skinny person and still have bulimia nervosa. So whoever made this slide is absolutely wrong, and it's a mental health disorder that can happen to any person at any age and any gender. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next. 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 Okay, can you go up? The previous slide, please. The before that. Yes. All right. So now that we understood what is body image, positive body image, negative body image, we also understood what is body shaming. Now let's try to understand how to counter it, how to fight it. So a lot of us, and today's session is also called body positivity, loving your body, all of that. Body positivity is a very beautiful term where we see beauty in whoever and whatever we are, whatever, doesn't matter what we look like, what is our height. You know, sometimes people are shamed for being too tall or being too short. Like women are shamed for being too tall. They won't find date, they won't find a partner, or you know, they constantly, anybody in the family will come, "Arey, tujhse kaun shaadi karegi, you're so tall." And then same happens with short men. Okay. You know, if you're on the higher end, or if you're too skinny, like if you are on Facebook and there's this page called Humans of Bombay, you know, you see all of these people sharing their stories. So body positivity is basically a movement. It's a anti-fat movement where people are trying to bring awareness that you're beautiful in all shapes, all sizes, all complexions, all heights, all textures. You know, you could have a very acne prone skin and you still are going to feel beautiful because you accept it as a part of you. So this is body positivity. But today I want to talk to you about something else. Can you go to the next slide? So this is a campaign where plus size models have been used, are working with plus size models where you are trying to be inclusive, that beauty comes in all shapes and sizes. So as you know, in Hollywood, there are so many actors, you know, they come in all shapes and sizes, and so many actors who are on the higher end, on the higher side of the, you know, scale, don't find any designer who is willing to dress them for events. So if you go to Golden Globes, Cannes, you go to Oscars, the designers will give you clothes. You don't have to buy them. They give you clothes so that they get their free advertisement. Yeah, and the models also have something to wear. It's a lovely collaboration. Plus size models don't get it. Plus size actors don't get it. So they have to buy their own. They have to actually find a designer, work with them, pay for it, which the skinnier models and the actors don't get. So nowadays, because of this anti-fat movement, people and designers are becoming aware that people like us need clothes. People who are there in the movies, people are there in the magazines, are there because that's their job. A dentist is in the dentist clinic because that's his job. That's her job. A surgeon is there in the hospital because that is her job. A teacher is there in the school because that's his job. Right? So you have to do the work that is required for your job. A bodybuilder has to do the work required because that's their job. That is why they have to look a certain way. What people forget is, my best friend just shared this really nice TED video. I will share that with you at the end of the session. I'll send the link. Obviously, it's on my phone. I was putting my phone down. So where this person, she was a state level swimming champion, and she stopped swimming because she hated how her body looked in a swimsuit. So people, because what, as a teenager, you know, she would go through swimming magazines, and national level swimmers would not be on the magazine. Actual athletes would not be in the magazine. Who would be on the magazines? Models would be on the magazines. So when she would look as a teenager, when she would look at those magazines, she would feel shame because her body looked nothing like that. And that is something that we all need to understand and acknowledge is what we see on the screen. They have worked because they have to be on the screen. They wouldn't get a job otherwise if their body did not look a certain way. There is this model who I follow. Her name is Winnie Harlow. She has something called vitiligo. So her entire face is full of white patches because that's what vitiligo, it's an autoimmune disease and your body is unable to produce the correct amount of melanin and you have these white patches on your body. And she's one of my absolute favorite supermodels because she doesn't cover her, deformity with concealer and foundation. No, she absolutely lives a life the way she wants to live because she believes in something called as body neutrality. Next slide, please. So body neutrality is basically the idea where I can exist without having to think about my body. See, body positivity kya bolte hai? If I'm skinny, I'm still beautiful. If I am fat, I'm still beautiful. If I'm tall, I'm still beautiful. If I'm short, I'm still beautiful. If I'm curly hair, still beautiful. Straight hair, still beautiful. My beauty, my worth is somewhere associated with my body. I accept it is the way it is. But because I accept it, I'm beautiful. Body neutrality says, screw all of that. I am beautiful. It has nothing to do with my body. I am beautiful because I am beautiful. It doesn't matter how my skin looks, how my complexion is, how fat I am, how skinny I am, how short I am, how tall I am. It does not matter. I am beautiful because I am beautiful. So it's a defiance to the media. It's a defiance to, it's a way of rebelling. It says that, you don't get to define who I am. You don't get to say what I'm supposed to feel about my body. I feel like this about my body because that's who I am. And I am beautiful. And I'm not going to believe anything else. My appearance is nothing to do with my self-worth, my accomplishment, my efforts, my hard work. That has to do with my self-worth. I'm neutral about my body. So we are moving a step ahead from body positivity to body neutrality. That I am worthy, I am smart, I am gorgeous, I am handsome, I am brilliant, I am hardworking. And all of my accomplishments, my body has nothing to do with it. My body is just the vehicle for me to get shit done. Yeah. And it has absolutely nothing to do with how my body looks. You can simply exist and be worthy of respect without having to think about how your body is or looks, without having to think about your body one way or other. No negativity, no positivity also. Body is, I have a body, I'm doing my work, I'm studying, I'm getting a job, I'm winning this world. Nothing to do with my body. I don't even hate it. I don't even have to obsessively think about how much I love my body. I just am. I just have to stay fit. I have to fuel my vehicle and I have to give it maintenance, which is exercising and working out. But I don't have to obsessively think about, oh, I don't like my body or I love my body. Body neutrality. Next slide. Because can you imagine how much time is wasted because I'm constantly obsessed about how my body looks a certain way, or what other people are thinking about it, and then to battle that I am suddenly like talking about how much I love my body, which is a good thing, but check how much time are you spending actually wondering about your body and how you look and your appearance and your clothes. How much more in life you could achieve if you just focused on your work and not the body. It's a vessel. It's simply a vessel. Next slide, please. Thank you. So body positivity says what? I feel good about myself because I know I'm beautiful. Body neutrality says how I feel about myself has nothing to do with my appearance. I am great or I am amazing. I'm hardworking. And it has to do with my abilities. I am not wasting my time on how I look. Obviously, I can take care of myself, but I'm not wasting my time. I'm utilizing my time. I did my makeup. I'm wearing nice clothes. All of you are wearing nice clothes. You utilize your time. But if after that, you're still thinking about, that means your time, which could be focused on somebody else, the lesson, session, anything, it's getting wasted. Next slide, please. So here are some mantras. I don't think you can see it because I can't see it, but let me just tell you. The mantras are, I am more than my appearance. The way I look, the way I look is just one of the many facts that make me me. I am not my looks. Looks is one of the things about me. Okay. My worth, my lovability do not depend on my looks. I am worthy for a ton of other reasons. What are those reasons? I have to write it down. My appearance is going to shift a million times throughout my life. When I was a baby, I looked a certain way. When I was 5, I looked a certain way. When I was 10, 15, 20, the looks will keep shifting. Sometimes I'll feel very attractive about my look. Sometimes I won't, but that's okay. My worth is not going to be defined by that. I don't need to feel attractive all the time to be happy and live my best life. I'm not having a good hair day, but that doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying the session. I'm not grateful to be here. I'm not having a blast right now. I am. So I don't have to feel attractive, or I don't have to love my body at all times, but I can still live my life to my fullest. Looking and feeling attractive are not gatekeepers to my happiness. Listen to this again. Looking and feeling attractive, and feeling attractive are not the gatekeepers to my happiness. These are some body neutral mantras that you can work with. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So what do? We have to, yes, love myself, and love myself not because based on my appearance, but on who I am, what kind of person I am. Do I bring joy when I walk into the room? Do I bring happiness when I hang around with my friends? Do my parents feel happy and proud when I sit with them for lunch and dinner and breakfast? Do I do that? So how can I do that? How can I spread love? I may have the capacity to love everybody around me, but if I'm being my own biggest bully, that's not very healthy, is it? So we have to also practice self-love, that I am worthy, I am amazing, and everything about me, I really accept it. Next slide. So how do we practice self-love? I don't settle for anything less just because I'm afraid of being lonely, or if I'm, I won't have friends for some time, so I hang around with people who put me down. So I don't accept that. Then I only accept loving and respectful relationships. So if my friends are treating me poorly, it's okay for me to be alone. I will only have great friends and relationships, romantic and otherwise, if I get respect. And it has nothing to do just with my looks. It has to do with everything. I trust my body because it's a sacred temple. So if it needs something, I will give it. If I'm hungry, I'll eat. If I'm not hungry, I will not overeat. I will drink water. I don't remember to drink water. So every time I have to actually place an alarm on my phone because I don't understand when I'm thirsty. And I'm talking about this and I'm realizing I'm thirsty. I am kind, I am gentle, patient, and understanding with myself. See, always remember, from the time that you're born to the time that you die, people around you will come and go, even your parents. Hard fact, but you have to accept it. Your parents, your siblings, your partners, everybody, they will come for a very limited amount of time. We have to be really mindful of that. But there's one relationship that's permanent. From the time that we are born to the time that we die. That relationship is this relationship with your own self. So what kind of friend do you want to be? Do you want to be a crazy, crap, mean, bully friend to yourself? Or do you want to be the best friend, the cheerleader, the coach? That when I'm down, I don't kick myself. When I'm down, I give my hand and be like, come, let's get up. Or you want something, let's sit down, take a break. What do you need? I am not unnecessarily chadhaing myself on some chart, but I'm not also being extremely critical. I am being respectful, patient, and gentle with myself. That I'm low, I'm down, I'm not feeling good. Arey, I'm always low. No. Okay, I'm low right now. What do I need? I need a break. Okay. What does break mean for me? Mobile phone is not a break. Netflix is not a break. Maybe I need to take a nap, or maybe I just need to walk in the garden for half an hour. Break. And I can only do the things that is necessary for my body, for my life, if I am kind with myself. How I would speak to my friend, or I would expect my friend to talk to me, I need to talk to myself like that. I stay true to myself, even if it appears to be disappointing another. But trust me, your relationship with yourself is the most important one. And if your relationship with yourself is healthy, whatever goals, whatever dreams, whatever ambition you have, that is going to be permanent. You will reach there. You will be able to achieve all your goals. But if you are going to be mean to yourself, it's like somebody whipping you. One day you will do it. Second, you will do it out of fear. Third day, you will be like, you're going to whip me any which way. So I might as well not do it. Next slide, please. So how do we practice self-love? One, we take care of ourselves by proper hygiene. Take 2 to 3 showers. Summer is coming. So guys, 3 to 4 showers are must. Wake up, take a shower. After your lunch, take a shower. Like obviously, this is for times when we would be stepping out. Now at home, we can do with like 2 or 3 showers a day. Wake up before going to college, we would take a shower. After coming back from college, take a shower. Go out to the gym, or go out for evening time, come back and take a shower. Before going to sleep, take a shower. So when we have these multiple times, when we clean ourselves, we are doing things. It's an act of love for ourselves. And always remember, hygiene means proper hygiene, not incomplete hygiene. Shower is half the hygiene. But if you come back from a shower and you wear the same clothes, same underwear, the shower was a waste of water and soap. So you have to actually change your clothes completely. You can't just repeat, "Arey, maine subah ko kal pehna tha, fir se pehen leti hu." You don't do that. Disgusting. Then eat for nutrition, eat healthy stuff. Obviously, eat your unhealthy junk food also, but check how many times you're eating it. And are you eating because you're feeling a certain way? Because that could be emotional eating. Emotional eating is not healthy. So you have to actually, and if you're feeling that you're doing too much emotional eating, you can talk to Pratima ma'am and she can help you and guide you. You have a fabulous in-house counselor and you have a team. You can actually reach out to them. Spend time doing things that you actually make you happy. Now you're students, you have a lot of pressure, बहुत सारा पढ़ाई करना, बहुत exams देने हैं. But even in that 24 hours minutes, find 30 minutes, break it down into 3 parts, 4 parts, but find 30 minutes, 45 minutes that you're doing things that you love. Netflix does not count. Mobile phone does not count. Gaming does not count. Something that is away from the screen. Read a book, go for a walk, go to the gym. Do something that genuinely makes you happy. Take a hobby, paint, draw, write a journal. And finally, spend time outdoors. It's so important, guys. Because of the lockdown, we can't go out. But now it's safe to at least walk around in your building, no? There probably is a garden over there. Go. Late night after dinner so that there are less people. But go. Wear a mask. Be out for at least 1 hour in the day. Go half an hour in the morning after waking up. Come back, start your class. Go half an hour at night, but be out as much as possible. Next. Now, thank your body. Okay, guys. So this is something that you have to do right now. Okay, we're going to do 2 activities before we wrap up today's session. One is, I want you to take a piece of paper. This is your activity. You don't have to show it to me. You don't have to show it to your partner. You don't have to show it to anybody. Take a paper, take a notebook, and write down 5 things. Okay, 5 now and 500 later. Okay, and you can go more than 500 also. 5 now. 5 things that you appreciate about your body, that you really appreciate about your body. I'll give you exactly 1 minute to write down what you like about your body and appreciate about your body. So it can sound something like this. I'm so grateful for my eyes that I can see. It can sound something like that. So quickly, 5 things that you are saying to your body. You're saying a thank you. For so many years, it has done so many things and you didn't even acknowledge that my body is able to do those things and it's allowing me to reach so many. You're in SM Shetty College today because from the time that you were born, you were doing so many things with your body, which allowed you to give exams, win competitions, do all the epic things to help you reach where you are right now. Quickly, 1 minute only. It's 2:27, 2:28. I will ask you to stop. 5 nice things or 5 things that you're grateful about your body. Thank you, Pratima ma'am. All the best for your session.
Thank you, Pritha. I thought I cannot just leave so rudely. I would have loved to stay on. So thank you once again to ICC and to the students and Pritha. Really a very, very well explained and all this mental health implications and all that. Thank you once again. And please continue. I will take your leave now. Okay. Thank you.
Pratima ma'am. Thank you for joining us.
So Meghna, if you were paying attention to the session, I hope you got the answer that you asked to the question that you asked.
Do we have time? Preeta ma'am, do you have time for a few more questions if they have?
Yeah. This is a great time to put questions right now. All right. Next slide, please.
Participants can post on the chat box.
Next slide, please. This is a very beautiful poem. I think this is by Rupi Kaur. I'm not really sure. And this poem goes like, and I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. It took a long breath and replied, I have been waiting my whole life for this. So you have 2 homework, guys. Okay, it would be amazing if you would do the homework because clearly I'm not going to come and check it. 2 things that you have to do is A, you have to continue everything that we did today in the sense that the 5 things that I would like to say thank you to my body, you continue thanking your body. Every day, thank your body. If you're doing something, you eating something, you are taking a shower, you're going to the gym, you are meeting your friends, just take 1 second and say thank you to your body for allowing yourself to have that experience. And the second thing that I would like you to do is make a list of things that you like about your body. So a little bit of body positivity also. And with that, next slide, please. So this is what we did, this exercise. Next slide. And it would mean the world to me if you guys could follow me on Instagram. That's my handle, Preetha Saha Counselor Official. And if everybody could quickly go to their Instagram handles, accounts, and quickly follow me, and that would be amazing. So that's my handle, Preetha Saha Counselor Official. And I talk a lot. My Instagram and Facebook is about me trying to make mental health more accessible and mental health more relatable. So I post a lot of reels and memes and stuff. So do give me a follow and a shout out. That would be amazing. So thank you so much for today's workshop. I had a great time and I hope you learned something from today's session. And that's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. And now, we have a small question and answer round. So if anybody has question, please put it in the chat box, or you can speak up also. So
Yeah, you can raise your hand. We know who's speaking. Yeah, we can start. Shara, you can maybe ask your question.
Even when the person is confident and self-loving, regular body shaming and bullying can still have impact on them. What can be done? Because unlike ragging, simple body shaming can't be reported easily. Very good question, Shara. What you can do is you can acknowledge that this was unhealthy and you didn't like it, and you have to be very clear to the person that, hey, I'm not really comfortable. See, if this is happening with somebody, from somebody who's not your friend, you can just block them. Really, you don't need to be friends with everybody, because if they are going to be mean to you, then there's no point being their friend. No? But if it's happening with a friend who's really close to you, you can have a heart-to-heart chat with them. That, hey, you said that day, I'm not really very comfortable you talking about my body, or you talking about my pimple, or you talking about my XYZ. And any conversation that we will have, I would like that we don't talk about this. So you have to establish boundaries very respectfully, very clearly, but very firmly. You don't have to be rude. Obviously, you becoming rude is because you say it 100 times and they still don't listen. Then we can become rude, because it's a defensive strategy. But if it's a good friend, you can just tell them, don't talk about my body. I don't like it. Simple. And then you can do this every day. Appreciate your body. See, there are people, there's this quote that my mother always says, dogs bark. Dogs bark. They're barking because they have something to share. They don't have anything nice to share. So they say all of these things. So just because they're barking, don't let it ruin your sleep. You sleep. You put cotton in your ears and you do your own stuff. So if they're saying something, that's their problem. It's them feeling insecure about their body, like Ritika had said. So that's why they're saying something crappy to you. You don't have to believe that. The problem happens when you believe it. You're like, okay, that's your opinion. That's how you think about me. Good job, good job. मैं काली हूँ. Thank you. मैं खाना नहीं खाती तो मैं जिंदा कैसी हूँ? अरे मैं बहुत मोटी हूँ ना. हाँ यार, वो तो मुझे भी दिख रहा है. मेरे घर पे मिरर से, पता है? तेरे घर पे नहीं है क्या? You can make it funny. See, humor is your best super weapon, and boundaries is your even better, defense mechanism. Like, don't talk about this. Why are you talking about my body? Can we talk about math? Can we talk about our assignment? Let's talk about your ex, since you want to talk about spicy things. Yeah? So you can have these strategies. Okay. How do we motivate people to come up and talk about their experience if they've been body shamed? You can't force anybody. But you can create an environment of safety. So if you guys have a body shaming day or something like that, there are lovely pages where one of the links I will share. Hold on, I'll just share it with you right now. So what happens over there is, like, Humans of Bombay. People share these lovely stories, etc. So you can find a video like that or a story like that and just share on the group and be like, we want to be like this. We want to be supportive like this. So, you can just keep talking about it, and whoever feels confident, they will share it. If they're not confident, they'll not share. You can't force anybody. You just can be there for them. Like the way you can't force somebody to come out, you can just be there for them. And how do I copy this link? Okay, I'm just sharing it with one person, and that maybe that one person can share it. And yeah, there's another link that I was looking for, but I can't really find it right now. When I find it, I will share it. Yes, is there another question?
Akshat, I think, had a question. I saw a hand raised. Akshat, you want to go ahead and ask the question?
Yes, ma'am, I was waiting. So my question is, how do you feel?
Akshat, can I see your face first?
I'm not decent right now. I'm wearing a shirt.
That's okay. I
was about to go for a bath.
Just show me your face, so I know who am I.
Mind at all.
That's okay. Nobody's gonna judge you. Put a filter on.
No,
No,
I
it's okay.
yeah,
Continue.
it's all
okay.
cool. Yeah. So my question is, how do you feel social media plays a role in validating the whole "how do you look" kind of
See,
model?
social media is something that's not being, poured down your throat. It's something that you actively choose to watch, right? You downloaded the app. You downloaded Facebook, you downloaded Instagram. Who you're following is also you are choosing. So if you're choosing accounts that making you feel crap about your body, don't follow them. Unfollow them. Detox your life. Detoxing is not just fruit cleanse and I'm getting out. I have to actually detox my circle. I have to detox my social media. All of that detox is possible. So only follow accounts that make you feel good about yourself. If you, even friends for that matter, okay? That's why it's so important to have a very healthy social media. And if you follow people who are making you feel bad about yourself, they're posting, they're traveling, they're posting their bodies, and then you feel like, what am I doing with my life? They're not the kind of people you want to. So you don't have to unfollow them. Also, Instagram has a fabulous hack. You can mute them. So actively it doesn't come on your screen. And then you consciously follow people who make you feel good about yourself. Motivational pages, counseling pages. So you can, be around people who actually make you feel joyful about yourself. So yeah, social media definitely has an influence, but again, it's not something that's pushed down your throat. You are choosing. So when you realize you have a choice, take back your power. Yeah, take back your power, and yeah, that's about it.
But don't you feel the whole model of social media is built around the fact that people are supposed to copy the ones who look good and stuff like that?
No. Social media is for anything you want it to be. It's anything you want it to be. Okay. Social media is about beautiful homes. Doesn't mean that I have to break my home and make it look that way because XYZ's home looks like that. No, it's about inspiration. It's about looking at nice things. Humans like looking at nice things. Humans love looking at nice things, and it brings them joy. The moment it stops bringing you joy and just brings comparison, negativity, it's no longer serving its purpose. But if you're still saying that, then you are the one who torturing yourself, not them. They have not come to your house and be like, "Ye dekho, tumhare paas ye nahi hai, tumhare paas ye hona chahiye." You are there. So you have to choose. This is not making me happy anymore. Now WandaVision is making me happy. So I will look at that. I will not look at my friend who's posting bicep pictures, tricep pictures. I'll not look at that.
Okay.
It's your choice. If it's something is making you unhappy, cut it out. I saw another question. My camera now? Yes, darling. Thank you so much for indulging. How easy would it be for a person just after having a word with psychologists to start loving yourself? Darling, it's not a magic wand. For 20 years of your life, if you felt a certain way, one session is not going to change anything. It's self-work and the process is very long and it's very tough at a point. So it's very, very important to acknowledge that and still keep working on yourself. Would they still face people? Yes, of course, you will still face people who are pointing. If you continue to be friends with such people, they will keep pointing out. Then that's why you have to be assertive and say, no, don't talk about this. Or be like, bye, I don't want to anymore. Toxic people, cut them out. Yes, you don't accept yourself. You can't be grateful. And no, it's absolutely correct. Who said this? Justin Lewis, yes, absolutely, darling. Spot on. That's what body positivity is about, no? That I am okay with who I am. And body neutrality goes beyond it. It says I am awesome only. I was born awesome. How my body has nothing to do with it. You want to say that about myself? That's what you think. That's your opinion. I didn't ask for it. Okay. And if they're constantly saying that, that means